Congressman, you have been accused by Ayanna Pressley of committing crimes and what would you use? Chemical warfare because you weren't wearing a mask. So your droplets as you breathe, your saliva as you speak is chemical warfare, sir.
Yeah, you know what? That's about as crazy as everything else that she says. I mean, just think about that. We're sitting over there. We're in a lockdown. We're wearing masks most of the time. We take them off. About 8 of us. We're talking. We know none of us have COVID. Why? Because most of us have been tested very recently. And you know what? None of us got sick. But the Democrats that are hanging out with each other and the lady, the congresswoman who had positive COVID test that Nancy Pelosi brought back, and she's on the floor hobnobbing with the Democrats, I don't know. Makes me wonder if the Democrats had something going on. Some of them weren't wearing masks. Maybe they got the COVID from each other.
Most likely. Yeah.
Yeah. How about that? How about when they were hanging out with each other or going on holiday vacations because they told us not to go on? Maybe that spread the COVID amongst the Democrats. This is just part and parcel of what is going to happen over and over again. They project. I mean, that's what it is. They project on Republicans. Anything they say we're doing, believe me, we're not doing it. They are.
Congressman Andy Biggs is joining us. Not only are you accused of chemical warfare, but you apparently are a white supremacist, QAnon sympathizer. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, another squad member with Ayanna Pressley, said that she was so afraid to go to an evacuation point while the Capitol was being overrun because there are some members of Congress who would have given up her location so she could be harmed. This is madness.
That is probably. I'm nonplussed. What do you say to insanity? I mean, we were all in the same place.
Exactly. So wouldn't you be in harm's way if you were giving up her location?
I've made a terrible error. I've disclosed my location as well. I mean, when you think about it, there's nothing logical about what they're saying. It's their desires to basically obliterate, emasculate Republicans. They would like to have a single party system. They don't want Republicans to be around. They don't want. I mean, and this goes everything from the corporations that fund big donor corporations that own the Democrats. You want to know why Democrats are now the party of big spenders and big corporations? Well, just take a look, because they give corporations whatever they want. It is amazing to me the reversal of fortune that we've had, but also how quickly the Democrats are irrigating and consolidating power.
I want to ask you a very specific question, because with AOC, Eric Swalwell, Pramila Jayapal, James Clyburn, Joyce Beatty, all of them have alleged that this was some type of inside job. They haven't had any proof, so I want to ask you, Congressman Andy Biggs, is there any proof that this was an inside job by either the U.S. Capitol Police or by Republican congressmen?
No, there's no proof whatsoever.
That's what we want to hear. But okay, let's go into further proof. Today, Russian probe documents were released. Now, help us out with this, because at least I can speak for me. Rob is a very intelligent man. For simple people like me, I don't want to go through all of these, but I'm not going to understand half of it. Can you tell us what was in there and what was basically give us the good meat, will you?
Well, we haven't dissected it yet. We've been so busy trying to fend off all the threats that the left is giving to us, my staff, my colleagues. We haven't had a chance to actually parse everything that was in there. But I can tell you the bottom line is going to be, if anybody was ever working with Russians, it was our colleagues on the other side of the aisle. Mm-hmm. That's that simple. I mean, we know that the Hillary Clinton stuff and everything like that. We've asked for even more information to be declassified, and there should be, if the president's able to get it all done, if the deep state will give it up, there'll be all kinds of stuff coming out that we think are going to absolutely implicate the Democrats in incredible ways.
One of the things I did read, Congressman Andy Biggs, is that Christopher Steele, who put this dossier together, admitted he leaked parts of that fake dossier to the press to distract from Hillary Clinton's email story.
Oh.
In putting these two things together we're talking about with you, the party that lied about Trump got a fake dossier and is now lying that members of Congress want to harm or kidnap members of the Democratic Party. If they're willing to say that and do that in public, are they willing to do anything to maintain power?
I think they are. And by the way, the story of Steele, we've known that. I had seen some of that previously. We knew that. That's nothing really new. But what your point is, and I think it is the point, that is consistent with everything else you hear and say. So now they're saying, oh yes, members of Congress led tours for reconnaissance tours before first it was the night before, then it's now days before. Nobody's done tours in Congress for months because Congress is shut down. I mean, the facility itself is shut down. So it's really, they will say anything, and it's outrageous. It really is outrageous. And they pass a rule saying you can't say anything like that, and then they do it.
Congressman Andy Biggs joins us now. You alluded to several other things that you're asking to be declassified. Is there any subject or topic you could give us?
Yeah, so I've been asking for the Ukrainian election interference documents to be declassified for a year and a half now. That when you see that, you're going to know that it wasn't President Trump. It was a couple, maybe a new family that's going to be occupying the White House. You'll find out some amazing stuff when that gets declassified, and then you're going to have. We actually I know there's a request out there floating around saying, can you declassify the assassination files for JFK? Now, so there's all kinds of things that people have asked to be declassified. How about the UFO? Someone told me that they were asking for the UFO records to be declassified. Anyway, the bottom line is, for the serious side, at least the stuff that I really care about the most, it's the foreign relationships with China, with the Ukraine, and with Kosovo, and some of the other places that we know that there's some family interests from Democrat side that have been involved.
And this is so fascinating to me, Congressman Biggs, because here you are in Congress doing, high up in the Republican ranks, and there's still secrets that you can't even access because you don't have the right clearance. I'm always weary, and this is the weird part of Rob coming out, of a government that keeps its secrets from its own congressmen and its own people. Like, what is in there that needs to be hidden?
Yeah, I am too. I get very uncomfortable. I get very skeptical. I remember when growing up, Democrats used to be skeptical too. But it reminds me of one of the Bourne movies where the guy goes in and he's explaining about this operation. He said, we found out it doesn't work, so we just closed it down. And Congress doesn't know what's been going on. It was a black ops operation thing. That's the kind of thing that makes people skeptical. So they see that fictional account, and then at the same time, your members of Congress can't even see things. And if you do, you get people like Eric Swalwell who can see. That's
right.
This stuff. That makes you nervous.
Yeah, well, Eric Swalwell having any position of power makes me nervous. Well, finally, we'll go back to circle back to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez if we could. She is claiming that she did not want to get to an extraction point because during the riot because she knew that there were white supremacist congressmen there, her colleagues, she said, there, that would essentially serve her up to the crowd. Now, here's my issue with that, because I know I can speak for Rob, I can speak for myself, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for you, Congressman. If there were white supremacists that were sitting congressmen or women or senators, that both sides would say, okay, they need to leave now.
Yeah, I mean that's really absurd. We had a guy make a statement that he felt was misconstrued to a national publication, and they took him off every committee, and he ended up losing his election. I mean, that's the type of rhetoric that's meant to divide the nation. It's meant to inflame. It's meant to distract. And the reality is, She wants to go as hard left as she possibly can, and so she's going to try to distract people and raise things that are clearly not true.